4 races into the TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School season, and we turn up in beautiful Alton, Virginia, home of Virginia International Raceway. The cars and stars of SRO America Group's touring car divisions are ready to roar to life around what is one of the more challenging venues on the continent. 3.27 miles, 17 turns, and a massive amount of elevation change makes this a roller coaster of a racetrack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to VIR. I'm Ryan Marine alongside Calvin Fish. Amanda Busick is down in the pit lane. Cars just now leaving the pit area for the first formation lap, and we are about to go racing for the 5th time this season in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Great mix of cars between 3 different classes, Calvin, and TC America always puts on a show.
Yeah, massive field here. We've got 32 cars going to see the green here. Pretty much an even split. We've got 10 cars, double digits with TCX, which is great to see, and 11 cars in TC and TCA.
Let's talk racetrack, Calvin. What makes VIR a driver's favorite?
Oh, it's just special. It's old school. It's demanding. It's got big consequences if you make a mistake, but it's just a real ride, particularly when you enter that second sector there up through the uphill S is just tremendous.
Massive difference in elevation from low point to high point, some 130 feet. And when you go through the roller coaster section towards the end of the lap, you are plunging down a hill, about 90 feet of elevation change that you lose in the span of 2 or 3 corners.
Yeah, and really tricky sector as well. It's so easy to drop a wheel coming down through there, so you have to be on your toes. And particularly when you got multi-class racing, we're going to get probably about 2/3 of the way through this race. There'll be some overlap between the fast TCX cars and some of the TCA field.
One of the stories of the season has been the growth of the TCX class and the emergence of Colin Garrett, the local boy who's done well. He's got the car starting on pole, and earlier this weekend, our Amanda Busick caught up with him.
New to the TCX class this season, Colin Garrett already has a win to his name and now picks up his first pole position right here at VIR in front of his hometown crowd. You grew up not too far from here. When you look at your development in this class, what has been the learning curve for you?
Basically everything. You know, coming from NASCAR, this is a whole different world. So, you know, learning ABS, learning how to deal with these, you know, sports cars and stuff. I mean, it's just so much to learn. So, but, you know, I've had a lot of seat time in different things, and especially here at VIR, you know, growing up 15 minutes from here. So it's been good. But, you know, obviously a big transition. So we've taken it slowly, but, you know, it seems to have come, you know, relatively quickly and quicker than I thought it was going to come. So, yeah.
I've been able to catch a couple of posts on social media. Would you say there's a rivalry brewing between you and Jacob Rude?
I don't know. I don't really know him. So, you know, I'm just here. You know, he won every race last year, and now there's some competition. So, I don't know. There's no rivalry to me, so I'm just out here.
It's been a great addition to the grid, a great attitude. Someone who was on that fast track doing the stock car thing. He was a track champion at nearby South Boston Speedway, where SRX is going to be racing next weekend, actually. And now has totally switched that focus over to road racing. He said to me earlier the weekend, if I never get in a stock car again, that's fine. I'm loving what I'm doing here in touring cars.
Yes, and he comes here brimming with confidence, following up on a podium and a win at the last rounds of the championship. So I think he's really going to be a factor here today, and he showcased that speed once again. He said he didn't get it all in qualifying, but enough to beat the rest of this field.
Another cool aspect of his story, he actually works here at the VIR circuit as part of the RFH Tactical Mobility Group. They do a lot of the high-speed driving for training for law enforcement and other government agencies. They do some team building and things like that, but that's located here at VIR, so he knows this facility very, very well, and now a chance to race here professionally for the first time. As you see the starting grid come onto the screen. 3 different classes within TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. TCX, which is all the BMW M2 Cup car. Then you get TCA. These are primarily turnkey race cars that you're buying from the manufacturer with some homegrown creations in the mix as well. And then TCA, which again has that mix, but a lot of it is the old garagiste kind of flair to it, with some local shops that put together some race cars, and there's still a place to go race those kinds of homegrown kit cars professionally within this series.
Yeah, it's a great stepping stone. It's great to see Skip Barber so involved. We had a visit with their establishment here on site here at VIR. They've just got a brilliant program, bringing up some of their students from their race car programs up through the racing school now. And great to see those guys doing as well. Carter Fardock leads the TCA Championship. He had an off, having laid down the fastest lap of the day, had an off in Oak Tree, so hopefully that car is 100% getting ready for the green flag here today. And it's dropped into third position on the grid. With any red flag, you do lose your fastest lap here, so a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, great championship battles across the different classes. Kevin Bohm, the other pole sitter, we haven't talked about him yet. He's been really strong in his second year in the TC class. Of course, won the TCA championship just a few years ago. But he had a massive lap in qualifying. Took pole in TC by a big margin, and he'll be one to keep an eye on in a car that's based here on site as part of the Skip Barber Racing School team.
Yeah, I mean, he essentially engineers all of the cars over there, but for Kevin Bohm, had a great championship start once again. He's on a roll, 3 wins and a podium, and a massive gap in qualifying, but I think with that red flag, there may be some cars that have a bit more speed in the race here today.
Yep, and Kevin alluded to that too in a message to us. Yeah, look, I got to maximize my best lap. I'm not sure everyone in the class did, so he's expecting a tough fight as ever today in TC. To the front we go. It'll be 3 distinct starts, starting with the TCX field. On the pole, Colin Garrett, the local boy, once again from nearby South Boston. Stephen Cugliari, who has been quick in qualifying this year, looking for that breakthrough result. He'll start second. Jacob Rude, the reigning champion, third. Lucas Catania in fourth. That's the top 2 rows as they come through Hogpen for the final time under safety car conditions. 2x2 formation now, looking for the green flag. Race 1 of the weekend at VIR, coming to the acceleration zone, and here we go. Great start from Colin Garrett. He's able to slip ahead. The fight is on for second, third, fourth, and fifth further back.
Yeah, Jacob Rude there, I think, is going to take advantage from the second row of the grid. He gets down inside Cugliari. Cugliari fends off Catania there and slots him into the third position. Askew with a nice start as well.
Now to the TC start. It's Bohm on the left-hand side of the screen on pole. Nicholas Barbato for Gin Racer starts next to him. Cut and paste from what we saw in the TCX start, where Barbato didn't get a great jump from the outside of the front row, and that's going to allow Clay Williams in the Mini to accelerate away. Also, Jeff Rica on the attack. He's challenging for second. Little contact with Williams in the Mini.
There was a space, and suddenly it went away on him rapidly. He had to get up on the curb, a little bit of a bicycle moment, gets into the side of Williams, but Williams continues.
3 wide, and Rica drops out of it. Now that promotes Pombo up into fourth, and he's going to snag third as well. Great start for Matt Pombo, who qualified 6th and now runs in 3rd.
Yeah, brilliant start. He took advantage of that little argy-bargy there, so Recca was up on the wheel and had to keep it clean there. You see him there hopping through the curbs here as you come through the snake.
Wild stuff to get the TC class race started. Bohm from Williams. Then you get Pombo running in 3rd. Barbato is 4th. There is the TC field filing through. Further back, now we find the TCA field. Starting on pole was Gresham Wagner, and it looks like he still holds that spot for the moment. That actually might be Devin Anderson who has grabbed that spot away. Nope, it is Wagner, excuse me. Carter Fartuck, though, great start from him. You mentioned his issues in qualifying. He had to start in 3rd after originally having the fastest lap, a lap that would have been good enough for pole,
he's
but
wide.
lost it.
He's super wide there. Wagner gets in super deep. So we see his teammate there, Anderson, trying to recover from a front row starting position down to 4th early.
Yeah, he falls back another position there. But yes, to clean up the story, Fartuck started back in the 3rd spot. He grabs 2nd there at the beginning and now putting the pressure on Wagner.
Yeah, I wonder if Fartuck made a move down in the first couple of corners and that pushed out Devin Anderson. But there you see a battle for the lead up front.
And Fartuck, too, I think took a look for the class lead in TC. But we go back to the front now, and Garrett trying to hold on to that top spot. He's coming under a lot of pressure, though, here at the moment from Jacob Rude, the reigning champion.
Yeah, and these 3 cars had a little bit more pace than everyone else in this field in qualifying. They're demonstrating it here early. Cugliari from the outside of the front row. Let's not forget, he won 3 of the 4 races that he competed in last year when he showed up this year for full-time effort. It's taken a while to get into his stride, but right now he's certainly got some pace.
He was the main competition for Rude when he appeared in the championship a year ago. It was a championship that Rude dominated from start to finish. And right now, Jacob comes in with the points lead with a number of wins, 3 of them already this season, but they've not come easy, unlike last year where at times it looked like he was prepared to dominate, and boy, he goes for a wild ride there heading towards Oak Tree.
Yeah, he got really lured slide coming through 9. It looked like it was all under control, but he was obviously still scrambling with it. Arms and elbows inside of the car. You couldn't quite see it from the outside, and takes that rough ride there. That allows Garrett to get away. Maybe he can lay down some lap times here. Let's take another look at it. Watch right there. Pinches the car a little bit. He's off wide, just picks up the right side into the dirt. It's like a vacuum cleaner, draws you off the racetrack.
Did a great job to get that car woed down. Had a bunch of dirt on the tires. You can still see the grass on the radiator. That might be an issue, but on the other hand, it is much cooler today than it has been throughout the weekend so far.
And that's really an indicator how tough it is to follow that close up through those high-speed S's. You're really keying off the car in front of you. You can't see your sight lines. I think Jacob just pinched the exit at turn 9 a little bit. Suddenly got that slide going, but good recovery. Now he's back on the charge. See a little bit of flapping underneath. He may have done a little bit of damage to the underside there with the off-course excursion.
Looks like a change for the lead in TCA. Carter Fartuk, the championship leader, putting his miscue in qualifying this morning behind him. He has driven from 3rd to the lead in a lap and a half.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit lucky this morning. The contact was relatively light. I think it did break the front suspension, so they probably had a bit of work to do here this lunchtime to get the car ready, but nonetheless, he's established himself back at the front. But look how much the 21 car there of Wagner eats up into that brake zone.
This is cool here for Fartuk because this is the new Honda Civic SI race car that will be available to customers next year, and he's really using this year to shake down the car for customers and also to advertise its capabilities, and we've seen it throughout the season. This has been a great combination from the beginning, this driver and car combo.
We've got battles up front in all 3 crosses right now. Bohm's really feeling the heat from Williams, who had a great win at NOLA. So that means he's got a ton of pace this season as well.
It has, and new for this weekend from the mini camp, they've upgraded the clutch in this car. I was talking to Louis Pericarpi, who's the team owner and heads up all the operations there for the LAP Motorsports team that runs these minis. The clutch they've been using in this TC spec car, it's the most robust one that Mini offers, but as far as mini road cars go, a manual transmission, the most horsepower that they put out is around 200 horsepower. This TC spec car is about 300 horsepower, so that was really giving them some clutch problems. They had to retire due to a clutch issue in one of the races at NOLA, so they've gone to an aftermarket part, and they think that it's going to be a bit stronger. It should withstand those loads a little bit better and give them the reliability they've been looking for.
You know, I think that's the great thing with this championship. Unlike GT3 cars and GT4 that have to go through a homologation process, I think the series are willing to work with some of these teams and manufacturers to make sure the cars are basically reliable enough with the extra stress that they're putting through them.
Side by side further back, that's Rika around Pombo for the final podium spot in TC. Pombo back to 4th, and Urbano now running in the 5th spot.
You see the 2 leaders have distanced themselves by about 3 seconds up the road. Certainly Williams is keeping Bohm very honest. And these cooler conditions will really help out Kevin Bohm. With that Honda, they had issues last year when you got to the really hot days like we experienced here through the middle of this week. Struggle to keep the power delivery going as some of the safety systems kick in. Look at Williams now, deep into that brake zone, looks to the outside. Kevin is poised, though. He's had so much success here at this racetrack over the years,
including an SCCA Runoffs National Championship in 2019, driving a Honda Civic in the STU class. That was his most recent Runoffs title that helped propel him into the pro racing ranks, using that track knowledge to keep the Mini at bay, at least for now, but Williams looks very strong.
Long way to go. So it's all about balance now, maintaining the balance in the race car, not getting tired back here over 40 minutes.
And I'll say this, talking to Clay Williams early in the weekend, they were not happy with the car. They felt the heat was getting to them specifically in the braking. They were having some trouble with their brakes overheating, and they made some changes. Also, the temperature being down probably helps them with that, but they have certainly found some pace. They felt like they were lacking earlier in the weekend. Back to TCA, Carter Fartuk. He might have the lead, but he's not pulled away.
Now, Devin Anderson has joined the party here, so you got 2 of those Tech Sport Subaru BRZs putting the pressure on our leader.
Devin Anderson has been a quick study since he got plugged into one of these cars. He debuted at Elkhart Lake last year, had a second and a win at Sebring for the TechSport team, but that was in the Toyota chassis. This is back to the Subaru, which TechSport was synonymous with for so long. This is their new turnkey customer racing option, BRZ. And he's giving it a nice solid run once again.
It was a pretty emotional win there at Sebring, wasn't it?
It was.
True family affair with his parents running this team.
Yeah, Kevin Anderson, the CEO of TechSport, and this is home soil for them too. That team's shop is based right here at VIR.
Got Bohm there having to defend, trying to establish himself on that inside line all the way down to the brake zone for turn one. Kind of a concertina effect, it looks like, where now he opens up the door a little bit. Williams tries to slide it down to the inside. Kevin sweeps across. That was tight but clean.
Still door to door at the exit of the horseshoe, turn number one. This is the kink of turn two, headed to NASCAR Bend.
Oh, he's going to be in there shallow, though. Can he keep it together? Can Williams come back at him? No, he's not close enough.
You surprised Kevin gave the inside into one?
I was, yeah. I mean, it looked like there was kind of the Mini had the initial launch, then the Honda was strong midpoint of the straightaway, then the Mini came back at the end. And I think Kevin may have believed that he was far enough clear that he didn't have to defend, but nonetheless did a nice job slicing back to the apex.
Back to TCX now. And
look at this, Catania's got around Cugliari.
Third and fourth changing hands.
Expect to see that. Cugliari had a little bobble there, maybe trying to put the pressure on the leaders. Garrett continues to lead us. Look here, this comes through Oak Tree. See if he goes for a ride. Yeah, he does. That's how that position changed.
And broke off what was a four-car battle for the lead. Lucas Catania, it's been a nice steady run for him this season. He's been on the podium in all four races to this point and sits second in the championship, but a distant second, 30 points back. They go side by side again for the third spot. Catania holding Cugliari at bay for now.
Tries to cut it back under on the exit of turn one. This is where you really got to coexist, is that little bob and weave happens through turn two. So easy if you're side by side, a little bit further up. If Cugliari was there, you got to coexist and give each other a little bit of racing room.
10 minutes gone, 29 to go. And this flat-out sprint to the checkered flag. Just 40 minutes, no pit stops, no driver changes in TC America. What a duel we have shaping up here for the third spot. They'll go side by side into Snake. Oh, I'm curious to see if they made it out in one piece. Meanwhile, here we go. Fight for the lead in TC.
Yeah, Bohm's definitely vulnerable in that last little bit of the straightaway into the brake zone. Williams to the inside. Bohm just runs that really nice flowing line through there and just manages to keep the momentum there. I think Williams is learning here. He's just trying to figure this puzzle out in terms of where to position that Mini and basically block Kevin out so he can't continue to do that. It's good, clean driving, but very much on the limit.
Clay went into the offseason with some momentum, sweeping the weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Of course, that was in the TCA class. Got the chance to jump up to TC and drive this slightly more powerful, bit more aero-dependent Mini, and he leapt at it. It's been a pretty good season to this point. Third and second in the first two races. Had an issue with that clutch in the first race at NOLA, but then won that last time out for his first career TC class win.
Change in position, I think. Anderson has gotten around Wagner, I believe.
Yes.
It's allowed Carter Farduk to take off a little bit. I mean a little bit. He's right there still.
It's interesting. TechSport Racing teammates there, second and third behind a Skip Barber Racing School team car. All of those cars, both of those teams based here at VIR, and they're out in front.
It's like you should call each other up on a Wednesday afternoon and say, hey, do you want to go out and have a race?
You could put a pretty good one on between the TechSport team. Whoa, Anderson goes for a wild ride.
I don't think he lost a lot of time. He's got a little bit of dirt on the inside tires, fortunately, for this upcoming double apex right-hander Oak Tree. relatively smooth ride. Sometimes you really start to bounce around through that part of the racetrack if you do run off course. Gets your attention, that is for sure. Big drafting battle here between the two teammates.
It's the black hood for Anderson, the white hood for Wagner. Back to TC, Williams and Bohm. How many times have we seen Bohm playing defense over the last couple of seasons? And he seems adept at it. I think there's some drivers that aren't comfortable playing defense constantly, but Kevin Bohm seems right at home.
He does, and he knows where to kill the speed, where to maintain the speed. It's like that different approach to turn 3. Even though he's on a much more shallow angle of attack, it's not really creating any opportunity for Williams to make a move on the inside for turn 4.
Kevin had a 3-race winning streak to start the season, snapped in race 2 at NOLA, and the driver to snap it was the one he's battling with now, Clay Williams.
Bohm's driving really well, just really using every inch of the racetrack. I think the Mini may have a little bit more pace potentially. Clay's just got to find the key to untap that potential here. Traffic up ahead for our leaders here in TC.
Yeah, these are the overall leaders, TCX leaders now mixing it up inside the TCA field. So Colin Garrett, who continues to hold the advantage over Jacob Rude, but only by a tenth of a second, and he's caught out by lap traffic.
This is going to be tight. Rude thought he had an opportunity, keeps it clean, didn't force the issue, thought there was an opportunity, couldn't quite make it stick.
Well, Garrett has more experience racing at a high level. He's made starts in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's started in the Truck Series. In fact, he was supposed to race last weekend at Sonoma, but some unforeseen hurdles with paperwork effectively prevented that from happening. But at any rate, he, though, is new to multi-class racing. That's something that Jacob Rude's got some experience with, and maybe that can provide the opportunity to make a pass.
And I think in that interview with Amanda, he certainly showcased that he's not going to be intimidated out here. I'm sure he's traded a little bit of paint over his career.
Sally McNulty has as well. Fender flapping on her Honda. Now it's the PJ Gronke-driven Mini. A little bit further down the order at the moment is Gronke.
Running 7th and 8th there, Gronke and Sally, who had a couple of top 5s to start her season campaign at Sonoma.
Not much to split these two, and Amanda reporting to us that Jacob Rude is driving with a fire in his belly. He felt like he had the car for pole, but there was that red flag that we've alluded to several times in qualifying this morning when Carter Fartuk had an issue, got in the tire barrier in Oak Tree. And did we just see?
Jacob Rude is in pit lane.
Yeah, he just pulled off. We also saw Olivia Askew pull into the pit lane, I think on the previous lap. She had been running 5th. Very strange, and that is a huge relief for Colin Garrett, who now has a 3.7 second lead and no pressure behind.
Yeah, very unusual. Identical BMWs essentially in this TCX class. Heat shouldn't be a factor here. Relatively mild day compared to what we've seen all season long. But look at this battle continuing here. Down into the approach for the roller coaster at the end of Madison Avenue. Kevin Bohm really having to work hard to maintain that track position. That's allowed Jeff Ricker to close in on this lead battle, so he's got some pace.
Yeah, Jeff's been quick. Over the last couple laps, he has been running right there, or quicker, in fact, in these top 2, and has been able to run them back down. So the time is now for Clay Williams to make this pass before he has to start thinking about playing defense himself.
Yeah, Ricker has the fastest lap in TC so far today. And both these cars behind Bohm are about half a second quicker on a lap time, but Bohm still has the track position.
Yeah, that last lap, Ricker did a 2:05.2. Bohm was a 2:06.1, and Williams was a couple tenths off of that. So there you see it right there. The margin over the past few laps that's allowed Jeff Ricker to run them down.
This is exactly what Kevin Bohm was anticipating. He said, yeah, I'm on the pole by about a second and a half, but I think some of my competition had a lot more time in the bag, just didn't have the opportunity to display it in that qualifying session.
Ricker 4th in points and a runner-up finish in the second race at NOLA Motorsports Park. That's his best result of the season. Did win a race with this car 1 year ago at Circuit of the Americas. In fact, won that overall in very odd conditions.
Here we go, changing TCA. Anderson has gotten around Fartuk here. This is a run down towards turn one. Fartuk tries to come back to the inside.
All of this happening in front of the overall leader, but yes, change in the TCA lead, and now maybe for second as well. Carter Fartuk starting to slide. Look at Garrett trying to make it 3 wide through the lap traffic.
So tight. What a move there.
Oh,
that was sensational stuff. I assume he knew that the Rooster Hall racing car was right behind him. Garrett, our TCX leader. That was wild. The Ree was oblivious, so he managed that perfectly. Sometimes it's hard when you got a car to your inside, you're looking left for an upcoming left-hand corner. You don't see that car to your flank there, which is a little bit quicker.
Colin has been quick to credit his sports psychologist, VJ, who has been a big help to him over the past few years, simplifying his thought process and helping him focus on the things that really matter on a race weekend.
Need him for my golf game.
Well, we can put you in touch, I'm sure. And it's working for him. He's on the verge.
There we go. Change for the lead in TC. Williams finally gets down to the inside in turn one. That
one had been brewing for the past 10 minutes.
Can he take off here a little bit? Can he gap Bohm? Because Ricker has a lot of potential pace as well.
Bohm takes a peek to the inside through left hook. Now the beginning of the snake here. Clay Williams looks like he's been able to consolidate that position, starting to pull away.
It's different in driving line around this racetrack. A lot more flowing line with the Honda there with Kevin Bohm behind the wheel. The Mini looks a bit more point A to point B, doesn't it?
It does. I saw it with Kevin pulling out a line there. I know this is a car that typically has struggled in the heat. Do you think he was looking for some clean air?
I'd be surprised he only just got past it. He'd need that immediately. You'd think you'd want to pop the draft and try and stay close if you could.
Well, we saw Jacob Rude running second, pull to the pit lane. I think Amanda's got more on that story.
I was just talking to Toby Grahovic of what was wrong with the car. Absolutely nothing was wrong with the car, and this one's going to sting when Jacob gets out of the car. He thought the team said box for oil when they actually said watch out for oil. The team was just as confused when Jacob made his way into pit lane. And guys, if there is any consolation to this race for Jacob today, he does currently have fastest lap in class. So maybe coming back tomorrow, sitting on the pole will be maybe bittersweet into what could happen here at VIR.
Oh, that's very disappointing for Jacob. I'm sure it's dropped him down to 7th in TCX and well out of the running. Just the time spent in the pit lane.
That is so bizarre. Came into this race with a 30-point lead, and Catania up on the podium. That's going to be cut into, who was running second in the points. Very bizarre situation. It's good that a driver's listening, but you'd almost think, can you confirm?
Change in the lead and in second place in TC. How about this? Kevin Bohm back to the point. Jeff Rika now second, and Clay Williams from the lead to third.
Yeah, I wonder if Williams had a bobble or had an off course here. Whether Kevin just got back to him and got inside and opened up the door for Rika. See Rika there looking like he's got a lot of understeer there through turn 3. Hear the tires moaning a little bit later in this run. You could hear it from Fartuk when he was in the battle for the TCA lead with the 2 Subarus.
And it's now Gresham Wagner leading in TCA. He's gotten around his teammate Anderson. So it's Wagner, Anderson for Tech Sport 1-2. Fartuk running in the 3rd spot in TCA. Here in TC, something looks like it might be a miss with Williams. He's dropped off the tail of these cars here, and by a considerable margin in just about half a lap.
Yes, wonder if he's got a technical issue, and that was how the lead was changed right there. But Rick is in this. He's definitely got a quick car.
One other story to put a bow on real quick. We mentioned Olivia Askew went to the pit lane. It was an oil cooler, the issue for Olivia. Here we go.
How ironic that she has an oil issue and Jacob Rude did not.
and their teammates. So I wonder if that had prompted the message to look out for oil, which led to the inopportune and unwarranted trip to the pit lane.
It's going to be a tough one to swallow tonight. Unfortunately, with a doubleheader weekend, you got a chance to regroup tomorrow, but Ruud will definitely have his head down, but he's got a lot of work to do to try and make up any positions in this race.
Yeah, he's over 50 seconds behind the leader, Garrett. He's now about to catch Joseph Catania for 6th. But
Maybe
then
all he can do is a big gap, almost 30 seconds to the next position of Scroggin.
Exactly. This is maybe the most compelling battle on the track right now. 16.5 minutes remaining. It was a 3-horse race for the lead in TC. Something appears to be amiss, possibly with Clay Williams, as he has dropped back considerably. Jeff Rica just slipped wide a little bit. That's the understeer you were talking about, possibly rearing its ugly head. Now to TCA we go, and again, it's the 2 Tech Sport teammates out in front. That's a TCX car in between them. And behind, Carter Fartuk, the championship leader, who was leading for a time, now has slipped back to 3rd.
Yeah, let's see if he can draft up here on Anderson and maybe be in a position to pop out before they hit the brakes here for the roller coaster.
Might be able to use the out-of-class traffic to get a bit of an extra tow. It is side by side. Fartuk in the Honda to the inside of the Subaru, and Anderson, somehow they sorted out into the roller coaster.
Yeah, Anderson did a really nice job there of reading the situation, realizing that he still had the inside line. Once you got to the right hand, there's that little kink there. You may think you've made the move, but suddenly you're on the wrong side of the road. Sometimes it can get even more wild where you go side by side for 2-3 corners through that sector.
Just 15 minutes to go. Drag race down the pit straight now.
Here comes Fartuk. He might have a run here. Does Anderson open up the door or not? He gives him that lane. The Subaru is pretty strong on the brakes. Still a chunk of time to go here. I think, again, we heard Fartuk's front tires seem to be screaming for help here a little bit earlier in the run. See if he's managed to cool those off a little bit and can come back at the Subarus.
I mentioned earlier that the car that Carter Fartuk is driving, this is a customer car that will be available to the general public starting next year. The new Civic Si FE1, priced at $55,000, turnkey, ready to go, with a full range of HPD developed and homologated parts on that car, including the engine, the suspension, exhaust, fuel cell, and the electronics package as well. And this is the shift in touring car racing. It's now following GT racing in a lot of respects, where the manufacturers are providing these cars and the support systems to go with it. And you as a customer, if you want to go racing, you can buy this car from the manufacturer and it will be exactly the same as what Carter is driving right now.
And you can see it's very, very competitive. He leads the championship, has won races this year. And let me tell you, you can spend a lot of money developing a race car. Race car parts are not cheap when you're trying to do your own bespoke cars, so it's a great opportunity. If you want to go racing, the stepping stone to our SRO championships here, this is a great way to go.
And Tech Sport offers something very similar with the Subaru, actually. The car that you're seeing here, this is something they've been working to develop as a turnkey option for customers. So there's all kinds of options out there from a number of different manufacturers. Back to the TC battle. Kevin Bohm continues to hold the top spot after looked like he was going to lose it and maybe then some. Now he finds himself back in the lead, and he's had the measure of Jeff Rica since then. Clay Williams continues to run 3rd, but he's dropped off 3.5 seconds.
Tell you what I'm noticing with Jeff Rica's car, the balance looks to be a little bit better. I'm not sure if Jeff has just backed off the pace a little bit and not charging these corners so much, but the car seems to have really good balance there coming off Oak Tree and onto this back straightaway. So maybe he's getting into the rhythm of what Kevin Bohm is doing. Looks good. Had a great run at NOLA, had a podium run there. Displayed a lot of pace.
Update from the pits, the issue with Clay Williams, it has to do with power delivery. He's not getting all of the boost that he would normally get, and that's why we've seen him drop down the order. And now we've got to see how long until he falls into the clutches of Nicholas Barbado for 3rd and 4th. Barbado actually just made that pass on that last lap, and Matt Pombo will be the next one to take a shot at the Ailing Mini. But for the moment, focus is here at the front of the TC field, working through some TCA traffic. Kevin Bohm seeking yet another win.
Yeah, it'd be his 4th win out of the 5 races so far this year, so just getting it done. Just does such a tremendous job. Great engineering brain. Does a solid job behind the wheel. Just seems to execute, doesn't make the mistakes. Reads traffic situations well, manages his tire, recognizes on certain days, you know what, you're not going to win, but just maximize your points potential, and that will give you a championship.
Well, through the 4 races so far this season, only one of them has been anything but a win. That was 3rd place in race 2 at NOLA Motorsports Park. Kevin Bohm seeking his 4th win in 5 starts. He's 11 minutes and change away from getting that done.
It's a little bit of understeer again through there, so I think Oak Tree is really a key corner for Jeff Ricker. I think if he charges it with a little bit more entry speed, he compromises the exit a little bit.
This is where that Hyundai's been strong. Look at this, Race Vision powered by AWS. Slight advantage in top speed.
It's tight though, right? Look at that. Nothing really to choose between any of those manufacturers.
Which goes to show why Clay Williams has dropped so significantly when the power issue started to emerge. You look how tight it is, how even it is across these manufacturers, and you start to lose even a small percentage, and it hurts in a big way.
Yeah, I think he had the pace here today to win this race, so shame he's got that technical issue going on. I think Kevin Bohm would have had his hands full to wrestle that lead back from him.
Right now, he has an 8.5 second gap, does Williams, back to Pombo in the fight for 4th and 5th. So we'll see if he can nurse it home for another 10 minutes and limit some of the damage. The championship aspirants with some struggles. This is Jacob Rude continuing to attempt to drive back through the field. He's back up to 6th right now, but has made very little progress in trying to get back up to Scroggin, who is in the 5th spot at the moment. It's a pretty sizable gap between the two, 28 seconds and change.
Yeah, he's got the fastest lap of the day and certainly running very competitive lap times, but this will be a head scratcher for them. He'll just be kicking himself in terms of that miscommunication between he and the teams, and sometimes that sort of messaging needs to be confirmed. You need some sort of procedure in place. And you would think that if there was a real oil issue, he would have seen some kind of alarm on his dash. So maybe he was seeing something, and then just that radio message from the team was enough to trip him to pit lane.
Right. Because again, it was an oil issue, oil cooler issue for his teammate Olivia Askew. So yeah, maybe they're asking him, hey, take a look at your oil temperature just to make sure he's not having the same problem. And that's where the confusion crept in.
Assuming they're not sharing radio channels, and the message to Olivia went to Jacob as well.
Well, that is something worth considering, that's for sure. Back to the front in TCA, and Gresham Wagner in his 1st year of racing in this championship, but he is a experienced driver with quite the pedigree, winning the MX5 Cup Championship 1 year ago. Has a couple of race wins this season, but it's 2nd in the TCA points.
Yeah, and I think Anderson is just really coming on strong. Boy's done a nice job. Not much to choose between these two teammates, so. Oh, that's a big, big slide there through turn 3. We could draw one back here a little bit. Does he have some kind of issue? Was it just traffic coming into play there as they're cutting their way through the field?
Kevin Bohm has had the measure of him over the past few laps. An interesting race this has been for Kevin. Jumping out to the lead early, being caught, losing the lead, looking like 2nd was no sure thing either, and then finds himself back up in front and now starting to pull away again.
I wonder if Ricker does have a problem, because he should have been eating up this TCA traffic a little bit quicker than this.
It's good news in any event for Kevin Bohm, who continues out in front. Former TCA champion, finished 2nd in a tightly contested TC Championship battle 1 year ago to Eric Powell. There were a couple different drivers, 3 I think, that had mathematical chances going into the final races of the season. And my enduring memory maybe of the TC Championship last year was Kevin trying to make a tire gamble work at Indianapolis, and he was out in effectively a dry track but on wet tires and just drifting that car around the IMS road course trying to salvage a result. Couldn't ultimately make it work, but it wasn't for lack of trying.
No, I mean, sometimes you got to roll the dice a little bit. Championship is on the line, and if you're not in the prime position to make it happen, that's okay. You learn a lot from that. But typically he's so calculating in terms of maximizing his point score every single weekend. Colin Garrett will be loving this. Great opportunity with Jacob Root having issues here today to cut into that championship lead.
It's funny, you told me, yeah, I went the NASCAR route, but I've really been a road racing fan ever since he stumbled upon a Formula One practice session as a kid. And right after that practice session, I guess they aired the documentary One, which chronicled the early days of Formula One, and he said he sat there and was just enraptured by it. And from that moment, he really wanted to go road racing, but he'd already started down the stock car route. That's really what they knew, where they had their connections. And again, he's made it as far as the Xfinity Series, racing 5 Xfinity Series races in 21 and in 2020. But when this chance came, it was actually through his father, who knew Todd Brown, who's running the Rooster Hall GT4 car in Pirelli GT4 America. They have known each other for some time and kind of randomly reconnected, and the chance came together to test a car, and Johan saw what Johan Schwartz saw what Colin could do behind the wheel and said, we got to find a way to make this happen.
Well, the other thing is with a lot of the NASCAR championships now, heavy road racing schedule. So even if he determines that he's not going to stay in road racing, these times on the track in such a competitive class will really pay dividends when he goes back to any sort of NASCAR program, and they're running half a dozen road circuits each year. So great experience for this young man.
The one thing he said about sports car racing he's still not sure about is having to share a car with another driver as you climb the ranks. He said, I don't know about that. I think we can convert him, though, when the time comes. To the TCA battle, and Gresham Wagner still leading. Tech Sport teammate Devin Anderson just about a second or so behind. And then you get back to Carter Fartuck now, who's closed back in. And look, for Carter, he was another one that thought maybe he had a shot at a championship going on a late season spurt at the tail end of the year last year, and it just wasn't quite meant to be. But he came back to the TCA class here and has been so consistent. And what he told me back at Sonoma, we've seen it from him all year. Just take what you can get, string together the best results you can, and the championship should fall into your lap.
We had that great summer, and then it's all unraveled in the last couple of events of the championship season. So that stings, but it brings you back with a bit more determination and grit for the upcoming season. That's exactly what he's done. Been super strong out of the box this year.
Podium in all 4 starts this season for Carter Fartuck, including 2 wins, and he'd be in position for a 5th consecutive podium to get the season started. Doesn't help that some of his championship rivals are having better days, but he does have that 14-point edge, and it's still very early in the season to worry too much about the points at this stage. But you know what, that said, he is closing down that gap once again, and Devin Anderson could be feeling the pressure before it's all said and done.
Paracarpi's having a nice run there, as well as is young Bucknam there. 3rd-generation racer sitting in the 5th position in TCR above the number 5 machine. Honda, of course, been a great associate with that family for so many years. Has had 3 podium finishes out of the first 4 rounds of this championship.
That's the LA Honda World car that Kevin Bohm is looking to make his way past. Spencer Bucknam, young man from California, whose grandfather, of course, Ronnie Bucknam, father Jeff Bucknam, both excellent racing drivers in their own right. And Spencer coming from the open wheel background into front wheel drive touring cars has been a quick study with 3 podiums in 4 starts.
Well, as Bohm stretches that gap on Ricker, Williams is not that far behind Ricker, so whatever technical issues he was having have not been so extreme as kept him out of the mix.
What's going down there with Christian Pericarp's Mini. Looks like some debris is flapping in front of the windshield. I'm having trouble identifying what it might be.
A piece of plastic of some kind.
Looks that way. Can't be
Meanwhile,
ideal.
no pressure on Bohm right now. He's just got to finish this one off. A couple of laps to go.
Yep. Looks like the overall leader should be coming around to take the white flag at this time by. That's Colin Garrett right there, Rooster Hall Racing, the team based here in Virginia. Driver from South Boston, about 15, 20 minutes away from here, who works here at the track. Looking like this could be a fairy tale pro racing debut at VIR. White flag in the air for Colin Garrett, seeking his second win of the season.
Yeah, and with that win, it'll certainly leap him up into second in the points and cutting in that big lead that Jacob Ruud had coming into this round of the championship. So big moving day for him. They say Saturdays are moving days in golf, right?
Yes.
Garrett's done the same here this weekend.
No question. And you look at his form, the last two races, the two at NOLA, he won one, finished second in the other. He's about to make it 2 wins in 3 races if he can keep it clean for one final lap of VIR.
Weird, it almost, I'm sure it's just a heat haze. It almost tails away. Looks like there's something emanating from the tail of that BMW. Hopefully nothing that's going to get in his way of victory here. Certainly showcased in that interview with Amanda that he was confident about his potential here today, and he's making it happen. Certainly has been eased with Jacob Ruud taking his trip down pit lane for no real reason.
Yeah, you do wonder what Ruud might have been able to do without that miscue. He was right there on the tail of Colin Garrett.
Well, I'm looking forward to them having another battle and just seeing it play out right to the end. See who's going to be the more aggressor of the two and want it more than the other as well.
Well, the roles will be reversed tomorrow with Ruud, at the moment at least, slated to start on pole with the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race here in race 1. Garrett's best lap is about a 1/10 of a second off of that, but there are 4 cars that are all within the same 2 or 3/10 of a second as far as ultimate single lap pace goes. So that bodes well for a good race tomorrow. But as for the here and now, from South Boston, Virginia, how about it? Colin Garrett picking up his second win of the season, vaults up 1 spot in the point standings. Colin Garrett wins race 1 at VIR.
Really nice job there. Great podium for Cugliari and Catania. That's a big day for him in the points as well.
TCA battle. Right now, Gresham Wagner has it pretty well in hand with a 2.5 second gap back to his teammate Devin Anderson, but Carter Fartuck might be having a look. They've got TC traffic to deal with as well. Looks like Williams might be back up and running at full speed again because he was closing in on Jeff Ricca. He's now splitting the battle for second and third in the TCA class.
Yeah, they're both creating a buffer for each other there, so looks like that's keeping him away from getting on the tail of Jeff Ricca and also creating a buffer back to Fartuck.
Ricca is noticeably closer to Bohm now, all of a sudden. That gap has come down.
Bohm is just managing this, just recognizing just half a lap to go, not taking any chances in traffic.
At the line, it was 1.8 seconds, Calvin. It is definitely not that now. Into the roller coaster for the final time. Kevin Bohm has the lead, but Jeff Ricca is charging, and Bohm might be off the pace.
Ricca really deep on the brakes there, really into that gap. Obviously coming from high speed down to low speed, there's a bit of an illusion there visually in terms of the true time gap.
Bohm goes back to the riding crop looking for a little extra speed out of Hogpen. This is the final drag race to the checkered flag. The start-finish line is a ways down this straightaway. Ricca is closing, but not close enough. Kevin Bohm wins in TC at VIR. Ricca takes the second spot with Williams in third, and Gresham Wagner across the line. He wins once again in the TCA class.
That was a great battle. All the way through the field, all 3 classes, sensational stuff.
Third win of the season for Gresham Wagner, the reigning MX5 Cup champion from Williamsburg, Virginia. So another win on home soil for the Tech Sport team and for the Virginian, Gresham Wagner. Not a bad day for Virginia-based teams and drivers when you factor in Rooster Hall Racing and Colin Garrett winning in TCX. And you've got that win a moment ago from the Williamsburg native, Gresham Wagner, and the Tech Sport team that's based here. Impressive stuff. Big result for Kevin Bohm in the championship on a day in which it did not look like he necessarily had the best car. And there might have been something amiss late in the race, but he holds on and picks up his third, make that his fourth win of the season. Gresham Wagner, though, back to victory lane. What a great story this young man is. 24 years old from Williamsburg, Virginia, who has come out of the amateur racing ranks, winning championships there, into MX5 Cup, and now into TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Unofficial results: Colin Garrett by 3.1 seconds over Stephen Cugliari, who puts together another strong run this season for Cugliari. That is his third podium in 5 starts, still seeking that elusive first win of the year, however. Lucas Catania and Steve Strymer, with Brent Scroggin rounding out the top 5. Jacob Rude could only recover to 6th after the unexpected call to the pit lane due to a miscommunication. Joseph Catania in 7th. The win in TC to Kevin Bohm, but it was by a narrow margin. Jeff Rica was closing. Final margin at the line, just 0.4 of a second. Then you get Clay Williams, who nursed an ailing Mini back to the checkered flag and finishes in the 3rd spot. Nicholas Barbato and Matt Pombo, who ran as high as 3rd, completing the top 5. Looking a little further down the order, you find Matt Ibrahim, who had a nice solid day. Ken Fukuda for the Skip Barber team, as well as Mike Lamara. To the second page of provisional results, that's where you'll find the TCA battle, and what a fight it was. Gresham Wagner ultimately prevailing, but Devin Anderson led at times. Carter Fartuck led at times. That fight for 2nd and 3rd separated by just 0.8 of a second at the line. Christian Pericarpi, another strong run for him to come home 4th, and Spencer Bucknam solidly in the top 5. He's now been in the top 5 in each of his 5 starts in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Final page of results, including a few drivers that did not take the start, including those final 3 you see on the screen there: Iglesias, Che, and Biundo. Pretty soon, we hope to be hearing from our race winners in Victory Circle. But Calvin, that was a great preview of what's to come tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this season and this series is really starting to shape up. Everyone's starting to get momentum. Everyone's hitting their stride. We've got more cars, seems weekly we're adding to the entry, so sensational stuff.
Amanda, who have you found in Victory Lane?
Well, our winner in TCX, Colin Garrett, gets his 2nd win on the season. You picked up the first one at the last race at NOLA, but this one comes at VIR, a home track for you and for your friends and family. How much more sweet is that?
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. You know, it's a race that I've been looking forward to for a while, and I got a huge crowd over there, so I'm looking forward to taste the champagne there. But Rooster Hall Racing and Brent Tedder and all those guys, I mean, they just brought a spectacular car this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow, and see what we can do the rest of the season. We got to get back in this fight, and thankfully, I don't know what happened to Rude there. He had an issue or something, but it's good for us that he had an issue. So we need to capitalize on those moments and make sure we get as many wins so we can get up there in points. So yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, Colin.
Now, he brings up a good point. He cannot count on that from Jacob Rude, who prior to this race had never finished worse than 4th in a TCX race. So that could make a big difference in the championship.
That could really swing things and start to put the pressure on Jacob. But he seems up to it. I mean, looking at last year, dominant year, and then we saw Cugliari come on and give him a hard time, but he responded to that, and he's come out of the box strong this year. I think he likes the challenge, so maybe he will step up another notch.
That's Brad Perez right there in the middle of the screen. You might know him as Brad Perez on Twitter. Sometimes a NASCAR driver works on some NASCAR crews, so kind of cool to see the crossover there. I'm sure they know one another from the NASCAR side of things. But neat story all in all, Colin Garrett, what he's been able to do. Quick study here in sports car racing, as we've learned. Back down to Amanda now.
Well, Kevin, you have 4 wins in 5 races. You could call that a dominance, but how would you define it?
Oh, I think there's a lot of luck involved. I mean, you look at today's race. I mean, we were battling for the lead for the entire race. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what happened in the race. I'm so fried right now, just trying to stay out front and falling back a little bit and having to catch back, and it was just like give and go the whole time. So I think it really comes down to the hard work of the Barber Racing School team. They put a lot of work behind the scenes in prepping the car and getting it up to speed, and they're doing a great job at that. And it's great to have AWS. We have a ton of guests here this week, so really happy to get to the top of the podium for all of them.
Congratulations.
He brings up a good point, too, I think, about how exhausting it is to be driving in your mirrors, trying to play defense for a full race.
Yeah, and it was right from the get-go,
Yep.
right? Williams had the pressure on, and there was probably a roller coaster of emotions, too. And then he suddenly saw Ricker coming back at him, and Williams was right there. So that was a bizarre one. It seemed like he had a technical issue temporarily in the middle part of this race that cost him the chance of a win, because I think he had the quickest car here today. But he'll have another chance tomorrow to address that.
Also special for Kevin because he has some students from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, his alma mater, from the Formula SAE team that he was a part of while he was there. They're here checking out what one of their alums is doing in the pro racing world. Back down to Amanda.
Well, it is a win for the home team here at VIR, and you're a Virginia native, about 3 hours away, but you said this win wasn't without mistakes. How did you get through the adversity?
Well, pretty early it was a race between the top 3, I think. We kind of broke away from the rest, and I went off a couple times. It shuffled around, but I knew if I could just get out in the lead and just put down 2 or 3 good laps, they'd battle behind and I'd be able to hold on. So it was a difficult race, lots of ups and downs for everyone, I think, and on a Tech Sport Racing K1 race gear, and Red Line Oil is just good car all around, and allowed me to make a few mistakes and then make up for it. So happy with the start to the weekend.
3rd win on the season.
And well-deserved for sure. Gresham Wagner and Tech Sport Racing victory lane here at their home track. And that has them very much in the title hunt. That new Subaru BRZ has been very strong since it debuted at the start of the season there in Sonoma, and it's been a great battle in the TCA class all throughout the season. These are the highlights from race 1. Good start from pole for Colin Garrett. He was able to control the race from there. This was TC, and what a fight we had on our hands. The big mover early on was Jeff Rico.
Yeah, down to the inside there, up and on the curb, gets into the side of Williams. They all survive. Big moment here for Jacob Rude. Just keeps it together through those high-speed S's. He'd regroup, start to put the pressure on the leader, then that radio miscommunication. Big, bold move here down to the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. This was the fight for the TCA lead at the time. Carter Fartuk losing it to Devin Anderson at that time. Here's a wild ride. This was fairly early on, fighting for 3rd and 4th. Catania and Cugliari in the TCX class. Bit of an issue here. Matt Ibrahim going around off the nose of one of the debutants in the series. Here's a side-by-side 3-wide moment as the NASCAR veteran gets a first taste, really, of multi-class racing.
That was awesome.
And Clay Williams to the lead on Kevin Bohm. He was able to slide in front, but it was short-lived. A power issue for Williams in the Mini allowed Kevin Bohm to go back on the counterattack and find a way ultimately back in front and into the lead where he took the win. But Colin Garrett from South Boston on home soil picks up the win. Kevin Bohm in TC. Gresham Wagner the winner in TCA.